that but the martial arts. And even today in Shaolin Temple, there is a staff, a 6-span staff. You know, we have what you call as wooden weapon systems, metal weapon systems, an attack on the nervous system, which ultimately leads into the cure aspect of Ayurveda, which is very close to acupuncture. Because the marma points which I will attack in Kalaripayat are the same points that are where acupuncture, except that in acupuncture they penetrate the body with a needle to unblock the block that is there. While in Ayurveda the same point is used with appropriate oils to massage it in a particular way, which removes the block. Now, where Bodhidharma is concerned, he also taught them the martial arts, because when these monks went from place to place preaching Buddhism, they were attacked either by highway robbers who didn't believe in Buddhism and whatnot, or by animals. So they learned to defend themselves against this. The various animal poses, like in India, in Kalaripayat, we have the peacock pose, which the Chinese changed to the crane pose. And we have the snake pose, which is also the very same as they are. And so there is a very close similarity. Again, I will, much as they, Wushu masters have accepted in the Wushu training center that it came from India, I will still not say, okay, it came from India or not, because I want you all to leave as my friends, not as, you know, somebody who will spit on my face as you leave the door. The situation there was, it was very good in the sense is, they learned these martial arts, and the Shaolin Temple, which I have objected against as usual, is not actually a temple. We have the idea of a temple as one building going up and then growing sidewards with all arms attached to the main temple. The Shaolin Temple is what I would call a Shaolin monastery. It's 7 layers of buildings, 7 different buildings. And the 4th building is totally dedicated to Bodhidharma. And we think we are what you call as capitalists. I think the Chinese will be able to teach us capitalism very quick, because it was very funny. I remember there was an old scroll inside this temple, beautiful scroll, and you're not supposed to photograph it. But being kind of a semi-nasty journalist, I put my camera on motor drive, held it at the side and fired one shot. And it went off, and the monk who sits there chanting 24 hours, they do it by rotation, saw the flash go off, and he kind of semi-woke up, and he saw me with the camera and he frowned. So before he could say a word, I went quickly to the box for the money and I put 5 yuan in it. But he was still very firm. He came and he held me gently by the arm. He smiled. He took me to the door, took me to the side of the temple and like, go. Go back, go do your photography somewhere else. Then we went to another place in Shaolin Temple, and there are 2 types of monks. There are the fighting monks and the praying monks. And we found these 2 guys on a tree. So I asked my guide, I said, why are they there? So she asked them, and they said, it's a little cooler up here than on ground level. They were hardly 20 feet from us. So we are up there. So we asked them who they are. They said they are the fighting monks. So I said, can they come down and give us a few poses? Capitalism. So again the guy said, okay, we'll come down. How much are you going to pay us? So hey, you know, it's part of life. So I said, oh, how much do they want? And they named a figure which was about $3 American. So I said, fine. So they came down, they gave me a couple of poses, and I took some photographs. Then he had a brighter idea. He says, suppose we go and put on our fighting robes, would you pay us some more? So I said, no problem. You know, that kind of thing you cannot say no to. So the guy is trying to make a few bucks, and now I noticed that even in Africa and other parts of India and other parts of the world, you point a camera at somebody, they ask for money. Because they are realizing now you're taking their photographs, coming here and selling it to some magazine and making money out of it. Why should you only do that? Let them get a share, which I totally agree with. Even the poorest villager in India now, you point a camera, they want some money. And it is so little you don't mind giving, because $1 a day there is quite a bit of money for them. So why not give it to them for us? I just paid, I think, $1.50 for a hot dog before I got in here. So like that, they kind of look after themselves. And where Bodhidharma was concerned, there are many myths and riddles. He was finally buried there in the mountain, which he seemed to have loved. And there is even a myth about him that he was actually returning to India. And they say that he was met by another monk who met him, and he saw him only with one sandal on his feet. And so they wished each other goodbye, and the monk went. And then when he came back, to the Shaolin area, people said, he told them that I saw this monk, and they said, no, 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 he died. And he said, no, 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 I saw him with this one sandal on his foot. He was on his way back to India. And finally, a lot of bickering took place. But then the myth is that when they went back and dug up the grave, they found only one sandal in the grave, saying the other sandal. So there are lots of stories about this. And so it's a situation where in Chinese records, he absolutely existed. Even today, donkey's years after he passed away, they still have a temple revering him. They still have weapons named after him. There are stories and there are facts, and you've got to differentiate between the two. But there is no doubting the fact that he did exist. And that's why I get upset when there are American scholars in Buddhism who even today will turn around and say, no, he was a myth. And I say, how do you base your fact on? There's a priest, a Jesuit priest, Father Daruma, who actually wrote 2 books about it, saying in this book it says this here, and this book it says that here. And so there's got to be the truth that he didn't exist. And my question is, just because one author made a mistake in the date and another author mentioned another date, doesn't mean he didn't exist. Now it's coming from 2 different sources. The dates may be wrong, but both mention him. And in one of the books, there's actually an eyewitness account of a monk who had actually seen him at the White Horse Temple in Loyang. And Bodhidharma was supposed to have gone there, and he appreciated the skyline of the White Horse Temple. Now, to give you an idea of how the Shaolin Temple is, basically, this is where the Shaolin Temple is. I told you my drawing is not very good. There are 7 layers of buildings out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 7. Here you have the Wushu Training Center. It's a huge affair. I had a 28mm lens, yet when I was standing from here, I couldn't get the whole Wushu Training Center into the lens. Then from here you go up here and you start climbing. And in this area you have what you call is the Palace of Pagodas. That is where monks, female and male, are buried in the Palace of Pagodas. And the even number, the pagodas are by layers, and the even numbers of layers means the more senior a monk is, and it's a male monk. The uneven numbers are for female monks. Don't ask me why they did that. When we were going up into this area, we on ground level close by here is a monastery for the nuns. So you start climbing here and you go up this mountain, and it's quite big, and if this is the peak, they have a pagoda for Bodhidharma here, and around here is the cave where he meditated. But as we were going up, Joe is very mischievous, my Chinese guide, and I like the way she said, have you noticed between 2 high peaks where there are men's monasteries, there is always a woman monastery? And she said it with a very mischievous smile on her face, meaning, like the Catholic Church, there also hanky-panky goes on. So, but the way she said it, you can see the difference between a religious person who would never say such a thing and a lay person who kind of realizing I'm an American and that would amuse me, said this is what happened. So basically this is, but from here the peak, I got a beautiful clear shot of the Wushu Training Center, the complete center. I was using a 300mm and I was using no tripod, just a hand, but I got a clean shot of the whole Wushu Training Center and it looked great.